Hi, my name is Nick, and I'm a former Amazon bar raiser who now runs a service called Amazon Bound, where we help talented job seekers to interview effectively with Amazon and other companies that practice behavioral interviews. If this sounds interesting to you, please subscribe to this channel. Today, I will answer the question why it's more beneficial to you to book your Amazon interview loop on 2 separate days instead of all on one day. Let's start with some context first. The Amazon interview loop is made of 5 or 6 separate interviewers who are going to interview you one-on-one for 45 or 60 minutes each. The majority of these interviews will happen on one single day, usually in a session of Chime video calls or in person set of interviews. However, you should request, if you can, that your interview loop takes place on 2 separate days, usually back to back or with some days in between, instead of on a single day if possible. There are 2 reasons why that's going to help you. Let's start with the more obvious reason and the less important reason. That reason is that you're going to have to keep your energy level and your intensity level for 2 hours and 3 hours at a time if you interviewed on 2 separate days, instead of for the duration of 5+ hours for the entire loop if everybody interviews you on the same day. And that's usually easier to do to kind of maintain that high level of performance for shorter duration of time. The second and the more important reason, however, is driven by how Amazonians provide interview feedback after the interview. In order to reduce the hiring and interview biases, and in order not to taint each other, each Amazon interviewer cannot see how others have voted unless he or she votes themselves first with a higher or a no higher vote. So after each person provides that vote, then they can see what the rest of the group thought about you. With that in mind, let's imagine that you're interviewing on 2 separate days, and let's also imagine worst case scenario that on day one, your performance is just off. Something throws you off kilter, you have a bad day, and you really underperform. And let's imagine that all 2 or 3 interviewers on that date are going to give you a no hire recommendation. If that's the case, then let's imagine that once the second day of interviews come up, you pick yourself up and you prepare and you have a very different performance on day 2. And you impress the interview loop for that day and they all give you a higher recommendation. Each individual gives you a higher recommendation. In that scenario, the people from day 2 are not going to see that the people on day 1 gave you a no hire recommendation. They're not going to be influenced by that poor performance that you had on day 1. Then when everybody gets together a week later to debrief and they see each other's votes, then the group from day 2 is going to have the opportunity to convince the group from day 1 that you do indeed raise the bar and maybe change their votes from a no hire to a higher decision. So you can see that if you interview on 2 separate days, you effectively get 2 bites at the apple, and you have effectively 2 separate interviews where you can load balance your performance better. This is so much the case that for more senior level roles, level 7 and higher, Amazon Recruiting will frequently work with candidates to schedule their interviews on 2 days or more instead of all on a single interview date. I hope this is helpful to you. If it is, please subscribe to this channel. Please send us questions in the interim, and all the best with the Amazon interview loop. You've got this. Bye.